Hi, everybody. I'm Jeff,
And I'm Linda.
and welcome to the Paranormal Pub Table, where we talk about the paranormal at a pub table. Let's talk a little bit about we've done several topics on can ghosts hurt you? What are ghosts? Right?
Yes.
But I don't think we've talked a lot about um, the spirits themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? A lot of people, when they see a spirit, they're thinking that, hey, I'm seeing the spirit of a deceased loved one.
Right.
There's been a lot of times where people have used an Ouija board and they thought that someone of their relatives was talking to them.
Yes.
The question is, I guess, um, if these are human spirits,
Mm-hmm.
what is their reason for appearing to us?
You mean coming back from beyond the veil,
Yeah.
as a sense? I guess some people may interpret this as being heaven, or perhaps the purgatory in the Catholic sense. Um, there could be quite a few motivations behind this. I think, in a sense, it's possible for human spirits to come back to us in life because they're called back to us. And there's a lot of cultures, there's a lot of spiritual beliefs out there in the world that say that you're not supposed to even speak the name of someone who has crossed over. Because in doing so, you are actually calling them back, or you are binding them to the living world when they're supposed to be in the spirit world. And it kind of makes a little bit of sense because if you're talking about somebody's mind and somebody's reality as a living being, and by living being I mean like living in the physical corporeal sense, right? This can be a very drawing thing. It can be a very binding thing. And if somebody's spirit actually passes over, their body passes away, they're left in spirit form, they still retain the memory of living as an actual physical being. And perhaps they can be bonded to this in a sense. And by having their loved ones actually call their name or say, speak their name or talk about them quite so much, it could call that spirit back and attract them back to us as the living people. It could also be that they come back for the sake of looking out after us. I believe that this is a distinct possibility. We've heard this time and time again where people say, it's been years since my grandfather passed away, and yet my grandfather still comes back and we see him around the house every so often. And I believe that your grandfather could be coming back and just checking up on the family. And I don't know whether when somebody passes away, if their spirit is assigned as a sort of guardian over the family lineage, and that they have the possibility of coming back and checking up on people and seeing that things are all good. That's a very distinct possibility as well. But there's quite a few reasons why something would come back from beyond the veil after it's already passed away, and their spirit comes back and hangs out around the family.
Well, let's talk about, though, ghosts versus demons.
Yes.
It brings about the thought, is there any way to truly know that this person that you summoned with an Ouija board,
Mm-hmm.
or this person that just seemed to randomly appear in your house after passing, and it's someone that's one of your relatives, perhaps a close loved one,
Mm-hmm.
what's to say that they're actually the spirit of that person, the spirit that they claim to be,
As
and
opposed
not something
to
else in disguise? And
right.
and this has been something that's been brought up quite a bit, where people have said, I believe that there are no ghosts.
Yes.
There's no human spirits wandering around. They're all demons. The devil's very
Yes.
deceitful. Demons are very deceitful. And they'll use these ghosts,
Yes.
these images of these human spirits that appear to you
Mm-hmm.
for various reasons. Sometimes the reason might be to instill fear, and fear is a weakness that these demons can feed upon. Other times they'll say that they'll make them appear to you to kind of lead you astray,
Right.
to maybe misguide you, and or to
Mm-hmm.
gain your trust, and then once they've gained your trust, to kind of wreak havoc.
Right. Yes. That's, you'll hear me say this a lot. It's a very distinct possibility. These demons could come over and pretend to be your spirit, your dead grandfather or whatever the case is, and just to gain your trust. But the only thing that really will help you distinguish between whether or not this is actually your grandfather's spirit or whether it's a demon is going to be time and experience with that spirit. Demons will often lay in wait for years sometimes. They will continuously appear to you in a certain way, and they want to make you think that they're a specific spirit that's passed over of your grandmother, your grandfather. They want to make you think that they're somebody that they're not. If eventually this spirit starts to sort of turn on you and starts to cause bad things to happen, you know automatically that this is not the spirit of your grandmother or grandfather.
But what if at that point, just as somebody who's been abused and by another human, another
Right.
living human, what if by that point, the point where it starts feeding you bad information and kind of leading you down the wrong path,
Right.
you've built up so much trust with this. And keep in mind, like I said, demons are very deceitful. Like they can deceive the brightest mind, and the
Right.
brightest person shouldn't even sit down and debate with them
Mm-hmm.
because they will out debate you. They
Right.
will win. So they're very skilled in and very patient. So you say
Yes.
wait, but over that time, the more time they have, to slowly pull you away and lead you down this bad path.
Right.
Now, if they're doing that, these people that are so, at this point, sold on the fact that this is their grandfather or this is their deceased loved one,
Right.
it's so hard to pull them back, especially if it's been years that they've had this spirit in their house.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to pull them back and say, look, what's going on now is not right. It's clearly something else.
Right.
Because for one, they're so hooked on that idea that this is my deceased loved one, because we find comfort in that.
Yes.
Comfort in that, hey,
We
there
do.
is an afterlife. This person is here looking after me. I don't have to say goodbye to them because they're
Right.
still here. And then when you have to interject and say, look, you got to say, this has never been that person all along,
Yes.
it's almost like something mentally it's too hard to accept at that point in time.
Absolutely. It would really be hard to accept. And the bad thing about it is that you have to be fully versed and fully knowledgeable about how these demons act and what their motives are before you can comprehend that this may not actually be the spirit of your deceased relative. And a lot of times people are so, in a sense, ignorant of the way that demons work and their abilities and their motivations and how they are able to infiltrate people's lives. We walk about these lives and we use our five senses, and this is our reality. What we sense with these five senses is our reality. And yet, there's so much more beyond that. And people don't pay a whole lot of attention to that nowadays. Perhaps many, many years ago they did. But nowadays, it's like, okay, demons, yeah, we see the demons on TV. They're scratching people, they're throwing people out of bed, that sort of a thing. But that, in a sense, gives us a bad idea of what demons are because they're not actually like that at all.
Perhaps demons are behind these shows. They're saying, hey, put this stuff out so people will not think that this subtle thing that's
Right.
happening or this subtle change in their life is a demon.
Yes.
Let's talk about, so demon versus ghost, okay?
Uh huh.
Motive versus motive. What would the motive of a demon be?
Mm-hmm.
What would the motive of a human ghost be? So I'll give you a second to think about the motive of a human ghost.
In what
Okay?
sense?
The motive of a human spirit to appear to us.
To appear to us.
Okay.
Okay.
The motive of a demon is very clear. The
Right.
demons are here to destroy, to bring us down, to basically find a crack. And when I say a crack, they find a little space that we have between us and God.
Mm-hmm.
And they get into this crack and they make it bigger and bigger and bigger and increase that gap.
Yes.
They can feed on many different things and draw upon these things to help our distance grow greater,
Right.
such as a fear, such as uncertainty.
Oh, yeah.
Little things that we may not even think, hey, I'm not doing anything wrong. You're not necessarily doing anything wrong.
Right.
But you have these things, we all have these things that aren't necessarily of God.
Mm-hmm.
And the demons will use that to their advantage. And they're, like I said, they're very patient.
Right.
So their goal is to find a foothold, to find a way in, a way for us to welcome them in.
Yes.
And we could go on forever about what these things are.
Yeah.
Things down our bloodline, little things that we've done,
Yeah.
little feelings that we have or thoughts that we think, ways that they can kind of work their way in.
Right.
And they can grow. They want to attach themselves to us.
Mm-hmm.
They want to oppress us. And eventually, they want to drag our soul to hell. And this sounds pretty serious, pretty deep for a pub table discussion. But I will say, I mean, ultimately, this is the goal of the demon, is to
Right.
possess. So I've told people before, I've said, well, if you keep your heart in the right place, even though there's these little things that will let demons in and let them get into our lives,
Yes.
keep your heart in the right place. The demon's not going to bring you down. He's not going to kill you because the devil wants your soul.
Right.
He doesn't just want your body dead.
Yeah.
He wants your soul. Now, having the body dead would be a benefit because especially if you're out there doing God's work or doing good deeds, the devil doesn't want that out there in the world. So if he can
Right.
bring you down and break you down and have you stop doing that, that works for him.
Yes. Absolutely.
But the demon's goal, the motive of the demon is destruction.
Yes. Chaos.
Okay.
Destruction.
What is the motive of a human spirit?
Well, that's hard to tell. I mean, human spirits, like I can't really detect what the motivation is behind a living human spirit, a person who is actually still living. It's very hard for me to comprehend the motive behind people's behavior nowadays in the modern world. I was raised in a certain way, and trying to understand why somebody would do something terrible and what their motives behind that would be is almost impossible for me to do. And it's the same way with with a spirit, with a human spirit, a spirit that's passed on from being human. You don't exactly know what their motives are. And that's the bad thing about this, is that we go to all these investigations. We keep an open mind about the fact that, okay, this could be a human spirit. It could be a demon. This could be anything, really. We try to gather the evidence and we try to discern what this spirit wants, what it wants out of this situation, why it's acting the way it does, why it does the things that it does. And it's still, a lot of times we walk away with more questions than we do answers.
We absolutely do. We absolutely do. Though sometimes we've done an investigation and not any kind of anything further than that, just an investigation, and the
Yes.
activity is stopped after that.
Right.
Which makes me believe the theory that one motive for human spirits is a message.
Absolutely.
They need to be heard. They have something that they feel they need to get across to the
Yes.
living. And once they feel they've got that message across, they can go.
rest at
They
peace,
can cross
yes.
on. But another motive is perhaps somebody feels, hey, I have to watch over my son, my grandson.
Yes.
I don't feel like I can leave yet because they're here and I have to look over them.
Right.
There's several other things that could keep somebody here. I've heard of cases where hatred or anger could keep somebody here.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're so angry about something or so hateful about something
revenge.
that
Yeah.
that hate just keeps them here. And, that desire for revenge, it keeps them
Yes.
here, going along kind of the lines of the nasty spirit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But the thing is, you may question now, how do we, okay, so we have a spirit that I think is a human spirit that's here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say goodbye to this person. If this really is my grandfather or my father that's here, or
Right.
any number of family members, I don't want to say goodbye to this person. I'm happy having them here and knowing that I can still talk to them. we have to pull ourselves away from that.
Right.
Because really that's about us.
Yes.
It is very comforting to not have to say goodbye.
Right.
But at the same time, we have to think about this spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Does the spirit really have a place among the living? Now, keep in mind, we don't know how all this works.
Yeah.
Okay? But theoretically speaking, if that loved one is here because they feel they have some obligation to us, we have to let them know that you can go to a better place now.
Right. Release them of that obligation.
Let them go from that obligation.
Yes.
If they feel that they have unfinished business of any sorts, and we can alleviate that and say, you don't have to worry about this. It's all going to be taken care of. Let them go.
Right.
Let them go. So if you have one that's in your house and they're constantly communicating with you and constantly watching over you, that may be a wonderful feeling. It really may be, understand.
Yes.
But if you try telling them, saying, just for their sake, just to put them up front for a minute, you don't have to watch over me.
Right.
I'm glad to have you around. I'm glad to see you here and see that there is something after this life.
Yes.
But please don't feel obligated to watch over me.
Right.
Because
I'm
going to be all right.
Yeah.
And then see what the response is.
Yes.
We want to try to gauge the motive.
Exactly.
I think determining in whether this is a demon or whether this is a human spirit, we want to determine what the motive of that spirit is.
Absolutely.
And that's one way you can do it. If you start to allow this loved one, give them, the kind of push forward to go on, to go beyond, to cross over.
Yes.
And they react a little strange to that. You might want to question it. You might need to
because
question it a
really
little
that
bit.
would kind of screw a demon up. I mean, if you think about it, like, if it's sitting there trying to make out like it is something that it's not, and then all of a sudden you have this human this living human telling you, hey, go to the other side. You don't have to be here anymore. I'm going to be okay. What's the demon going to do then? It's
Right.
fed off of this idea that it's trying to portray that it is something that it's not for all this time. A normal human spirit, you would think, after being told by the living family member that, hey, I don't need you here anymore, it would go on. It would try to go on to the other side, and it wouldn't stick around anymore.
Right. Absolutely.
But yet the demon is sitting there thinking, okay, oh damn, what do I do now?
Right.
What do I do now?
I'm screwed.
Yeah, like how do I address this?
Right.
Yes.
That's absolutely right. So you can, like I said, you can gauge that response and see
Right.
how they're going to react to it.
Yeah.
Perhaps when we're warned about talking with spirits and communicating with spirits, our safest bet is to sever the ties.
Right.
And if there is a loved one that's stuck here and it's because of us, we need to let them go. We need to let them cross on. And if it's not because of us and they tell us why they are stuck here, perhaps we can do what we can to help them resolve that issue.
Absolutely.
Make them feel that this business is finished.
Yes.
So that they can go ahead and cross on. But it is a question. It really is. It's always going to cause wonder. Am I really talking to that deceased loved one?
Yeah.
Or is it something posing as this person?
Right. I mean, we got to face it. It's difficult enough for people to even consider speaking to a spirit that is standing there before you, even if it looks like your grandfather. Let's say this was your favorite grandfather, the closest person to you when he was living. And it's hard enough to actually comprehend that can be real, that this can actually be the spirit of your grandfather standing before you. But then addressing him and talking to him, it goes one step further. But people often find it hard to do that, but that it really is the best solution.
Right.
Is to summon every ounce of courage and energy you have and try to speak to the spirit that's standing before you, or the one that you believe is in the room, even if you can't see it. To be able to find out its motives, to tell it that you don't have to stay here, and to try to address it and figure out what exactly its motives are for being there.
That's right. That's right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us here at the Paranormal Pub Table. for this edition.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/Virginia Paranormal. We put our investigations up there.
Yeah.
They're not what you'll see on TV. They're the real deal, which is not necessarily as exciting, but it is real, I promise. You'll also see some Gas Grubbing Ghost, which is our vlog about our travels.
Yeah, which is really fun.
It really is. And if you're not watching this, or if you're not listening to our podcast, and you're watching us on YouTube, you can check out the podcast, Spotify, Amazon,
Right.
bunch of other places that I don't
places.
really know, can't think of right now.
Yeah.
But they're there. They're there. So check out the podcast. Now, one thing I'm calling on some of our followers and our viewers to help us out with here, okay, is getting VAPI into the White House.
Oh.
Okay. Now,
Yes.
I don't want to have to run for president, but if I have to, I will. I'm probably going to start with governor of Virginia. But before I do, before I have to go all out and run for president, I think there's an easier way for us to get into the White House and accomplish our mission, which is to conduct a paranormal investigation there. Okay.
The White House, yes.
Now, I've been trying for some time.
He has.
They have not told me no yet.
Right.
So, thumbs up there,
Yeah.
but getting a response is pretty difficult.
It is, because you tend to get a hold of these people that don't really know exactly how to respond or what to say.
But on the White House page, the White House is a website. You can send a message on there, an email, which I haven't gotten a response to yet. But we're going to keep trying. And we figure if more and more people try. Right? This is one thing we're calling on you guys to do.
Yes.
Email the White House. It sounds crazy, I know. But email them and tell them you want to see Virginia Paranormal Investigations come in there. Because we want to investigate. The White House is reportedly haunted.
Oh, very haunted.
From back in the days of Lincoln. It's been haunted, and several presidents have experienced activity. And we want to get in there. We want to do an investigation. We will bring you an authentic investigation. We'll bring you the truth as to, is the White House haunted? But first, we got to get in there. If they don't let us, I'm just going to run for president. So,
that's what you might have to do. You
I might have to
actually run for president.
Run for president just so I can do an investigation of the White House. I'm gonna fix the economy and all that other stuff too. But
But the most important thing is
the hook will be that, like, vote for me. I'm gonna do I'm gonna tell you if it's haunted, right? I'll also release all the information on aliens if it comes to that. But right now, let's just work on getting that investigation of the White House fairly soon here.
I'm pretty sure as a president you wouldn't be privy to the knowledge of aliens.
Who knows?
I think that's
about
kind
aliens.
of a shadow organization sort of
I think
thing.
it is.
And that the president is not really allowed to know that information, at least not beyond Kennedy, because Kennedy, it caused all kinds of problems.
That's true.
They ended up having to kill Marilyn Monroe because of this.
And possibly Kennedy.
And Kennedy as well. So after that, I think they don't let anybody know anything as far as the president. But
that's right. If you're watching us on YouTube, drop something in the comments, a ghost story, a question. And perhaps we'll pick your question to respond to for our question of the week.
Right.
Until next time, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Linda.
And remember, there's much more to see in the dark.